A disability is something that has a major impact on your life.
Every disability is different.
And it's never the same thing for two people. I am blind in my right eye totally and partially sighted in my left eye.
I was 18 years old. We were traveling way too fast on a gravel road. Broke my neck, my back.
My Asperger's syndrome and my cerebral palsy.
I have anxiety and depression. People would have no idea just talking to me.
Being independent means different things to different people.
I want to live in my own house. I want to pay my own bills.
Live independently and not rely on other people.
When someone is not able to live as independently as they can, it does have a detrimental effect on people's physical and mental well-being.
It's no complicated thing. It's just that people with disabilities want to be included.
Plenty of people get stuck in ruts when they feel like they can't overcome something in their life. That's where Lyft comes in.
Living independently for today and tomorrow. Lyft. We help people of all ages and all types of disabilities find the resources or acquire the skills to live as independently as possible.
We serve the southeastern 18 counties here at the Billings office. We have a variety of things that we offer. We can help with grant funding for adaptive equipment.
Maybe a home modification so they're able to access their home. We help people to find that funding.
Helping people apply for Social Security benefits.
Medicaid, Medicare, housing.
They have a peer support group. Peer support, I think, is key.
Sharing life experiences is one of the most powerful things to help people who might be new to disability, who might be struggling with their disability.
Youth transitions is kids that are transitioning out of high school. They need to learn those adulting skills. It might be rent an apartment, learn how to grocery shop, budgeting.
Help someone advocate for themselves in a school or an employment setting. One of our biggest strengths is providing folks with information and referral. If we can't help you, we hope to know who can.
A lot of times we'll have a potential consumer call in and they think that they just have one need, and it turns out that we end up finding 3 or 4 things we can actually do for them.
You can just come in and say, hey, I feel like I have this going on. Can you help me? And we can, which is so cool to me. I love that.
Most of us on staff at Lyft have identified ourselves as having one or more disabilities. That is helpful in many cases.
It's easier to empathize with someone when you yourself have struggled with a disability.
This is what we specialize in. This is who we are, and this is what we do.
And it costs nothing to go to Lyft. It's a nonprofit organization and they're there to help.
Somebody that was a consumer that was working with Lyft was asked to do an art project. He visualized that the balloon helps to lift people up. And then it became the logo, and it's stuck.
There's been success on all kinds of levels.
It's really rewarding to have a consumer go, hey, I was able to do this by myself today.
We want people to live their best life as independent as possible.
Live as everyone else in society and live as a part of society, not apart from society.
Everybody needs help. Sometimes you just need a little more help, and that's okay. That's absolutely okay.
There's plenty of life to live still, and there's a way you can do it. Keep chipping away at it, little by little by little.
Knowledge is power. Let's share it, for crying out loud.
Send us an email, give us a call. We'll do our best to help.
We can definitely help figure out what your needs are and get started on that. We're one of many steps in the path to independence, and we're happy to be serving people here in the community.
Day and welcome to Living Well in Montana. Living Well in Montana is a program of living independently for today and tomorrow. LIFT, L-I-F-T-T, as we often style ourselves. LIFT is what is known as a Center for Independent Living, meaning we are a nonprofit source of resources and advocacy for people with disabilities. LIFT serves an 18-county service area in southeast and south central Montana. For more information about LIFT, you can visit our website at lift.org or give us a call in Billings at 406-259-5181 or in Glendive at 406-948-8500. My name is Jed Barton. I'm a public relations specialist at LIFT and host of today's program. Today on the program we have Blake Furman, from the founder and executive director of Veterans Navigation Network, with us. And again, Blake, we're going to primarily talk about the upcoming Veterans and Community Expo on February 7th at the Billings Hotel and Convention Center. But I want to start with a little bit about what exactly Veterans Navigation Network is.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you having me on the show. And Veterans Navigation Network really started out of my own transition out of the military. I served in the Army. I did 3 deployments to Afghanistan, and when I got out, I thankfully had a supportive family that kind of helped, but they didn't necessarily know how to help, and they didn't have the same experiences that I had, and so they're very supportive, very helpful, but it wasn't everything that I needed at the time with that transition out. And I truly think that the transition out of the military is a lifelong endeavor, and something I'm still doing. You're always, the training and the experiences are so ingrained into you that it's something that sticks with you, which I think is a good thing. And sometimes it can come with a touch of bad. And so for me, there was a touch of bad for sure, especially when I first got out. I also got divorced at the same time I got out. Turned to alcohol as a coping mechanism for the fractured back that I had on a parachute jump, as well as the loss of 2 of my teammates in Afghanistan that were killed in action. And so kind of all of that perfect storm, and then getting out and suddenly no camaraderie, no purpose, not knowing what to do. And the VA helped in their capacity in healthcare, but I actually was denied my VA disability claim for the first 3 years after I got out, and that was something, I had the x-rays and MRIs from the military, and so all of that to say the transition didn't go too smooth, and it wasn't until I started talking to other veterans that things started to look up, things started to get better, and they had shared experiences and kind of that peer aspect in life. And so I was able to relate to them, but they also had navigated the same systems that I was trying to navigate and helped me out. And so, long story short, that's what we do. We based really our organization off of what happened to me specifically and what happens to a lot of veterans we're finding.
Yeah, and it's not too different. There are some differences, granted, between the civilian and military experience. And again, as a Center for Independent Living, LIFT is charged with helping the entirety of the disability community, with people born with disabilities, people who get disabilities later in life, people who acquire disabilities through service in the armed forces. But it is, a lot of what you've said is a lot of what we do with the entirety of the disability community at LIFT. It's about navigating these systems, and you mentioned peer support. That's another thing that Centers for Independent Living, including LIFT, provide for. So it's, but you're right. One of the things we've noticed at LIFT is that veterans do relate to their peers, to those who have served, and it's wonderful that there is such an organization as VNN. You're about to open an office in eastern Montana?
Yeah, we're shooting for Miles City office to be opening. We'll probably do a soft opening in February, get the office all set up, and then we'll do more of a grand opening later on in the year. But we're already starting to serve some of the vets who live over there.
Okay, that's great. Again, we serve that area as well. So let's talk about the Veterans and Community Expo. Again, LIFT is proud to be one of the service providers who will be attending that on the 7th of February, right?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, we are going to have service providers. Right now we're at 61 service providers that are signed up to be there, and I'd say about 20 of them are really veteran focused. They're only serving vets, but a lot of the organizations there might serve a different special population or serve anybody, regardless of their income or what stage of life they're in or any of that. And so we've really tried to get a all-inclusive list of service providers that can help with everything from benefits to fun activities in the community, just kind of anything and everything in Billings and Montana. Even parts of Wyoming, could be served by a lot of these organizations, and the Dakotas as well. So we really expect a good turnout. We expect we've already got a good turnout of service providers, and then something we added this year for the first time is employers. So we're having employers. We think veterans provide a lot of value to the workforce, and not only them but their families. And I think this would be a great opportunity for employers to come and meet some of those veterans, meet some of those families, and potentially get some really good talent to work for their organizations. And the event's open to the community, so whether you're a veteran or not, you can come learn what resources are available in our community, in our state, in our region, and maybe even find a job at the same time.
Oh, that's great. You mentioned that there will be, again, it runs from 9:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. and it's at the Billings Hotel and Convention Center, which is just off the interstate. They're off of
right off King Avenue.
South of King Avenue, yep. You mentioned some breakout sessions.
Yeah, so we've incorporated these since the beginning, actually, but we've added a lot more this year. So we've got 8 breakout sessions, and we've got everything from VA home buyers class, so something really specific to veterans, to advanced care planning, which is kind of that end-of-life planning that we actually recommend everybody do and be prepared for, because unfortunately we never know when it's going to happen, but you can be prepared and have your family taken care of if you take the right steps. And so there's somebody that'll be given a brief class on that. And then we've got Social Security disability. We've got actually some Native culture. One program we started this last year was our Warrior Bridge, which is really a Native, it's very similar to what we do here in VNN with Billings and the rest of Montana, but it's really putting a targeted approach for serving our Native American vets. They serve at a higher rate per capita than any other race or ethnicity, and so we thought it would be worth the effort to make sure they're getting the benefits and resources that they earn through their service as well. So through that Warrior Bridge initiative, we will actually have a Northern Cheyenne tribal member who's going to be teaching about sweat lodges and kind of where that practice came from, the history behind it, and where it's practiced today and what it looks like today. So it'll be, those 4 that I mentioned, there's going to be a lot of suicide prevention. We were talking before the show that Montana has always top 3 for vet population, but we're also always top 3 for veteran suicide rate, and we've been that way for the last 40 years. And that's an award that I don't want us to win any longer. So we're trying to do some education that we can take to veterans, but also take to any community members, so that we can help lower that rate of veteran suicide. But also Montana just has a high rate of suicide, unfortunately, and we want to do something about that. So there'll be some education about suicide prevention, some techniques and tips that people can use to do something about that.
Okay, and as I remember the flyer that passed across my desk before LIFT registered to participate, there's a keynote.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got a great opening ceremony lined up. I mentioned our Warrior Bridge, and part of the Warrior Bridge is going to be presented there as well, but we're kicking it off with the presentation of colors and the national anthem. So the anthem will be done actually by one of the VNN board members, who's a local realtor in town here, an artist actually, Elizabeth Shoemaker. She'll be singing the anthem for us, and the presentation of colors will be done by the Apsáalooke Nation Lady Warriors. So it's all female veterans, many of them combat veterans out of Crow Nation. And so they'll be coming up and supporting the event. And then we've got the Tongue River Singers, who are going to be doing the flag song and victory song for the event, trying to bring in some of that Native warrior culture into the event and pay homage to those service members as well. And then the keynote that you mentioned is Kelly Rail, and she is an Army veteran who currently serves as the special advisor to the Assistant Secretary of the Bureau of Indian Affairs. But she's an Army vet and has an incredible story of going through what she did in the military and finding herself in a bad space outside and turning her life around, and now is in a very prestigious position and doing a lot of work for our tribes.
That's great. And so what year is this for the event?
This will be our fifth annual, so our fifth year doing it. And something we didn't do the previous years, but we're doing this year as enticement to get people there, because not everybody wants to go to what we would previously have called a resource fair, but there's so much opportunity for connection and camaraderie, and free lunch. We'll be serving lunch for the first 500 attendees as well. But we're also doing some door prizes. So for those who pre-register, there's a door prize. And for anybody who just walks through the door, there's a door prize opportunity. And there's also going to be door prizes for those who actually engage with the service providers, as well as those who engage with the employers. And so we're really trying to get people not just attending, but engaging and learning about the resources and providers and employers that are going to be there. And so we've got everything from 75-inch big screen TVs to Rand's custom hats, doing a hat for us for the winner that'll be sized to them. We've got a gift card for groceries. We've got all kinds of really cool prizes that people would be eligible for just for attending.
Well, that's great, and it's a wonderful event that you're doing. Maybe we can go back and talk a little bit more about sort of the veteran experience, if we may. I mean, it's a difficult thing. I mean, to transition out of the military, particularly. What do you know what the stats are, or the number of people who leave the service with a disability? Or?
I don't know on the number that leave with a disability. I know we have a record number coming to Montana right now. Part of, when I got out, it wasn't necessarily part of the discharge process, and now it definitely is more so, where you actually go through and talk to an evaluator about those potential disabilities you might have picked up. We see a large number of veterans that have never applied for any kind of disability compensation through the VA or anything like that, and which people will actually be able to do at the fair or at the Expo. We'll have service providers there, veteran service officers there to help with that. But you're talking everything from tinnitus, the ringing in the ear, tinnitus, I guess is the right way to say that, the ringing in the ears, to, amputations and things like that. So, it's the spectrum, and then, of course, mental health conditions.
Yeah,
if somebody...
I read somewhere that it's kind of the paradox of really modern warfare, is that that people, there've always been more wounded than dead in a battle, but nowadays people they're so able to treat folks for their physical injuries and do things with things like orthotics and artificial limbs, that people who never would have survived in World War II or even Vietnam are surviving their experiences, and that's a whole new thing to deal with mental health. And
yeah, two major factors, just being able to help somebody to survive if they were shot, in the stomach and or have an amputation, something like that, that would have just about for sure killed them during the Vietnam War, if not from the injury, from infection and things like that happened. Versus nowadays, we're much more equipped to keep somebody alive, but now you're right, we're dealing with maybe a lot more mental health issues and or just more mental health. I don't want to call it an issue, but just combat and battle are not normal things to experience, and so it's a very oftentimes PTSD or post-traumatic stress are a very reasonable reaction. Our body's having that reaction, our mind is having that reaction to something that's very unreasonable in as far as experiences go. And so we do see a lot more of those. And another big change in warfare is the speed at which people are able to be home and back in society. So if you think back World War II, I mean, they might have been sailing back home on a ship and had almost a month of time where they were in a ship with other people who had just experienced the same thing they'd experienced, and almost had a month to debrief from that. And not to say you didn't still have, some of the PTSD and what they would have called maybe shell shock back then, but now you're seeing people who have experienced a lot of those same things, but now they're back home. For example, my last deployment, I had been on a mission in Afghanistan. 2 days later, we're flying home, and got home at 10 o'clock at night, and by 1 o'clock in the morning, I was back home in my house. And so, I mean, that's how fast you could be back into society.
Yeah, and again, society doesn't stop when you're over there, so or when anyone's over there, I've heard that it seems like when you're over there, everything's about being over there, obviously, and then meanwhile, everybody back at home, the world continues, and
you're worried about really staying alive if you're in a combat role, or even if you're not. So I've had plenty of supply folks who have been on the base, and they're still getting mortared, or they're seeing some of those of their comrades returning from missions, and that makes an impact too. So I mean, it takes the whole military, not just infantry or whatever, to make the wheels turn.
And again, more are exposed to it in this era of asymmetrical or whatever they call it.
Well, and even now it's different. 10 years later, where now we're seeing drones being used heavily in Ukraine and Russia and Syria and all those places where we still have people deployed. I don't think a lot of people realize that even though we're not in active war with anybody, we still have people deployed all over the world supporting our country.
There's 1 million people in the armed forces and deployed several, almost there's 250 countries, and we probably have, even if it's just a couple of Marines at the embassy, we probably have people in 200 of them. And again, it's so again, you talked a little bit about, and we've got a few minutes left here, you talked a little bit about that's one of the things I've noticed is when I help people apply for Social Security, if they've been a veteran, they talk about percentages and some things that exist in the veterans disability system that don't necessarily in what we have as a civilian system. And
it's a very complicated system, at least I think in the veterans' eyes, and I mean, frankly, I think anybody's eyes would look at it and be like, it's pretty complicated, because you could have multiple ratings for multiple different disabilities, and in total they each get a percentage, and in total it could be 150%, and you would still not be considered 100% disabled through the VA. And so there's some special math that they use in there based on when the condition happened. Did it happen right away? Did it happen later? It's based on a number of factors, and I'm probably saying it wrong, which is why we have experts who will be at the Expo that can really talk to it. But But bottom line is it's not simple, and it's not a simple process, and so that's why we highly recommend veterans talk to veteran service officers that are accredited, and they shouldn't have to pay for those benefits. If somebody's charging them to get those benefits, they should run the other way. Those would be what we would call like a claim shark or a scammer. And so they may help get that disability, but there's people who do it for free, and that's their job to make sure it happens and make sure it happens right.
Right, and that's one of the things we do at Lyft. If we don't know something, we try to get people to the people who do know it, and hopefully can do it for free or for low cost.
Yeah.
Right. Again, does you mentioned peer support? Does VNN itself do support groups or sponsor support groups, or?
Yeah, so we don't have certified behavioral health peer support specialists that a lot of people kind of categorize peers into. We have what we call peer mentors, and so they're volunteers. They're folks that are veterans themselves and want to, and have found some sort of success and want to share that success with their fellow vets. And so that's kind of our peer mentor program, kind of our peer program.
That's almost the exact same model we use in the independent living centers, is that, you know, people with disabilities who found, you know, whatever they consider to be success, and again, you know, who want to share their story with others. So that's a good, it's a good thing. All right, I think, again, one more time, sort of the rundown of the Veteran and Community Expo.
Yeah, so it's going to start February 7th to 2026. It'll start at 9:30 a.m. 10 o'clock is the opening ceremony, and that'll run to 11, and then we've got breakout sessions throughout the rest of the day until 2. 2 is when the event ends, and there will be lunch there from 11 to 1, so we'll have lunch just about the whole time. But something we didn't talk about is the Kid Zone. So we'll have a place for parents to drop off their kids and to have them doing activities while they get connected to some of these resources too.
Okay, that's a wonderful feature. Because, you know, I've been to a lot of these resource fairs, health fairs over the years, and, you know, I think that would be a draw for parents to have, you know, some place to park their kids.
Oh yeah, and one of the classes that we have is actually a resume writing class. And there'll be a special prize for people who attend that class, but not only that, it will prep them for Jobs Jamboree, which is coming up in March as well.
Right, that is. All right, Blake Furman with Veterans Navigation Network, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
This has been Living Well in Montana. Again, we hope to see you at the Veterans Expo. Lyft will be there as one of the service providers on February 7th. But for more information about Lyft, please visit our website at lyft.org. Thank you and good day.